Carrying on with the face, I finished off painting it. I did a bit of the second coat, and hopefully you can see that when I was painting it, I did actually try filming this, but it went wrong. But you can see that when I mixed my colours, I did a slightly browner mix in the darker areas. That's going to be in the shade, and a slightly redder mix up on the cheeks and the lips, and a slightly lighter area on the top of the head, top of the nose. You can see that the poster paint is not as nice as the acrylic, but because it's mixed in with PVA, it'll be okay, and there's going to be other layers later. I really ran very low on the poster paint, so I mixed a lot of PVA in with it because I wanted it to really glossy for the eyes, but it's going to need another coat. It's not quite worked. Also, by doing that, it helps fill in some of the gaps. Another thing I've not done that you could do if you are getting lots and lots of gaps is you can mix just a little bit of flour or something in just to thicken it up so it's like a paste to do your eyes and any details that just need smoothing out. I'm keeping it fairly rough. I'm not too worried about that. What I'm going to do now, though, leaving the eyes for now, they still going to have to be careful around those. They're still a little bit wet. I'm going to do a little bit more finishing off. As I said, I wanted a beard on mine. I've been thinking about what sort of character to do. You could do superheroes, so you could basically just get your piece of paper, make a mask to go on it, so you create your superhero figure. You could do famous people, so if you just kind of, you know, what have I got here to demonstrate with? Hang on a second. I mean, just by doing a tiny little bit of black there, you can already guess who that's going to be if you wanted it to be. Or you could go just generally historical figures. Quite a nice one to do, and it'd be quite an easy one to do from here if I'd spent a bit more time on the lip, but I knew I wasn't going to spend too much time, so I didn't detail it as much as I'd like, would be a Native American. But you'd need to see the lips on those because they didn't have beards. But if you do Native Americans, then you could even use finger painting to put on the war paint, which I think would look really cool. But my plan was to do a Viking, so that's what we're going to crack on with. Well, either Viking or Celt. If I do a Celt, I could put some tattoos on. Mind you, so the Vikings also had tattoos. We do know that, so I could go down that route. Anyway, for now, I'm doing a moustache. I'm going to do the moustache in two parts, one for each side, and to make sure both sides of the moustache are the same, I'm going to use equal size pieces. You could use, I mean, for when I did the Hitler moustache, that was a bit of foam, so you can use bits of foam. You can use bits of wool. You can use bits of toilet paper, tissue paper like I'm using. Have a look around, see what you've got in your house to make it work for you. Anyway, I'm doing it the simple way for me, which is this. Tissue paper, so stick it in, give it a squeeze because we don't want it to be too wet, and I'm doing it that sort of comma shape again because I want it to be slightly thicker. Oh, that's very wet. Squeeze it out a wee bit. I want it to be thicker under the nostrils and then getting thinner and thinner, like so. I have done this one in the past at Christmas, and it does make for a rather nice Santa Claus, but it's the wrong time of year to be doing that now. Just because this is looking white, oh, cotton wool would work as well. Just because this is white now, I will be painting it over to be a different colour later on, so it won't be staying white. Trying to make them roughly symmetrical. I can always add and change bits. There we go. And always tricky with wet fingers. It's not tearing that way. Sometimes it tears easier in one direction than another. No, it's not working, so we'll just have to tear it like that. Right, do my eyebrows. Squidge them up, and again I want them to be slightly thicker. If you look at your eyebrows, they are thicker towards the nose and thinner towards the ears. So that'll be like that. And if you've looked at the one on faces, I think we looked at how we can actually do different moods by how we change it. This is a fairly neutral face. If you had your brows slanted, you could make the face particularly angry and warlike if that's what you wanted. I'm going for something fairly neutral, like so. Again, make sure you do squeeze out as much of the excess as possible. If you've got too much water, it's not going to harm it in any way, it's just going to take a lot longer to dry. It was really good the other day when it was so sunny. I just put it outside and it dried in a fraction of the time it normally would when I'm in school. There we go. If you get little bits on the skin, it does not matter at all because it will all dry out. And hopefully this is sticky enough. Mine is rather a watery mixture today. It should stick in place. And if not, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back with some PVA that's not been watered down and just dab a few bits on if required. Let's see now, how am I going to do the hair? What I'm going to do is I'm going to make it look like his head shaved a little bit, and there's a trick to that. So when I paint a bit more again later, I'm going to add just a hint of blue to the mix, because when you put blue it looks like it's stubbly. If you look at someone who they've got a shaved head or they've not shaved that morning, it does have this bluish tint. So just add a tiny little blue to your skin mix and it gives you that effect. Right, I'm going to need a few of these bits. And how am I going to do this? Or should I put a helmet on? I could actually put a helmet on. Oh, I've got decisions to make. I think I'm going to go, changing my mind a little bit now, because I can. I'm going to come down the sides. I'm going to go for a beard, and then I think I might do a helmet. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm just literally squidging up the paper. This is a very similar technique to what I was doing in the 3D relief picture. A relief is when it's partially raised. It's not fully 3D, but it does give you some depth. Trying to keep it symmetrical on both sides, so just keep checking as you go down. You can really dab that into the face. I could do it where you've got the mutton chops that come in just to the moustache, or just stop short of the moustache. I could bring the full beard in. I don't really have a plan at this point. I sort of had a plan, but I keep changing my mind because I can. There we go. Make sure all those bits are joining up together though. Now I'm going to carry on with this, and then when it's all dried out, hopefully I should have something that's starting to look a little bit like the hair on my figure. I'll do 2 more pieces and then we'll call that done for the video. I'm going to use a big piece now just to get that whole beard section done in one, and it will finish off the glue I've got in this pot. Again, the mix, you could do with a little bit more glue than I had, and careful about those cracks and those gaps. Keep folding it over itself so it's looking fairly solid. And then I'm going to need an extra piece there and an extra piece there, but I'm out of glue for now, so I'll do that between filming. When I come back, hopefully this bit will all be done and dried out. I'll have a beard ready to be painted. You can use pencils. I'm using the back of a paintbrush here if you want to put a little bit more texture in it. I wouldn't worry too much about that. And as I've said before, I would love to see what you're doing. So send your photos into your teachers, and hopefully most of you will be able to send your teachers will send your pictures on to me, just so I know what you've been getting up to, and hopefully that you're enjoying it. Right. Anyway, I'm going to keep faffing around for a bit. That's where I'm up to for now. I need to go back and redo the eyes, but I'm going to need to get some more white paint for that. I'm still thinking about what I'm going to do for the head. I might put the helmet in. I could do it as an Anglo-Saxon. If you've seen the famous Anglo-Saxon helmets, that would work quite well. Still thinking. You'll see it when it's all done.